Imagine the moon in 2021, a Wild West frontier where space cowboys wear six-shooters outside their spacesuits and saloon brawls happen in zero gravity. This is the bizarre, wonderful world of Moon 02, a film so deliriously camp that it makes Flash Gordon look like a documentary.
So what's so special about one asteroid?
Released just 3 months after Neil Armstrong's historic moon landing, this British sci-fi oddity dared to ask, what if the final frontier was settled by the same people who built the American West? When Moon 02 dropped in 1969, it emerged from Hammer Films during their brief experimentation beyond horror.
3 more rocket fuels, please.
This was the studio's lone venture into futuristic storytelling, coming hot on the heels of 2001, a space odyssey and desperately trying to capitalize on the space race fever that gripped the world. It wasn't just another B-movie cash grab, it was Hammer's ambitious attempt to create the world's first space western, complete with claim jumpers, asteroid rustlers, and lunar saloons. With an estimated budget of £500,000, this colorful cosmic adventure proved that imagination could stretch modest resources into something genuinely unique. In this video, we'll explore how Moon 02 became one of cinema's most fascinatingly misguided experiments, a film that's simultaneously ahead of its time and hopelessly dated, creating a viewing experience unlike anything before or since. The film's most remarkable achievement lies in its special effects work, orchestrated by Les Bowie and his talented team, including Nick Alder, Kit West, and a young Brian Johnson. Despite the limited budget, these effects artists created lunar landscapes and spacecraft models so convincing that they were recycled for decades afterward, appearing in UFO, Moonbase 3, Space, 1999, and even Superman 2 and Superman 4. Most remarkably, elements from these 1969 sets appeared as recently as Duncan Jones' 2009 film Moon, proving the enduring quality of practical craftsmanship over digital shortcuts. Director Roy Ward Baker, fresh from helming Quatermass and The Pit, brought a surprisingly sophisticated visual approach to what could have been simple camp. The film's cinematography by Paul Beeson creates genuine atmosphere within the lunar colonies, using careful lighting and composition to suggest the harsh realities of space colonization. The slow-motion sequences effectively convey low-gravity environments without relying on expensive wire work, while the miniature work creates a convincing sense of scale that many modern CGI films struggle to match. The production faced unique challenges that sparked creative solutions. Filming began on March 8, 1969, focusing initially on special effects before live-action shooting commenced on March 31st at Associated British Studios. The costume design by Carl Toms became one of the film's most memorable elements, creating a retro-futuristic aesthetic that perfectly captured late 1960s ideas about space fashion. These outfits, with their vibrant colors and mod sensibilities, have become iconic representations of British sci-fi design. The musical score represents another bold creative choice, combining Philip Martell's traditional orchestration with Don Ellis's jazz influences in his first film score. The infamous opening theme, performed by Julie Driscoll, establishes the film's tongue-in-cheek tone, while the animated credit sequence by Stokes Cartoons humorously depicts the space race and lunar colonization. This opening perfectly encapsulates the film's approach, seriously crafted, but never taking itself too seriously. Technical innovation extended to the film's production design, which created convincing lunar environments on a shoestring budget. The sets for Moon City and the various lunar installations demonstrate remarkable attention to detail, from the practical concerns of life support systems to the social spaces like the infamous Western-themed saloon. These environments feel lived in rather than constructed, adding authenticity to the film's fantastical premise and proving that creativity could overcome financial limitations in ways that pure spectacle cannot. James Olsen delivers a remarkably grounded performance as Bill Kemp, the former Mars explorer turned lunar salvage operator. Olsen brings a world-weary charisma to his role, playing Kemp as a man caught between past glory and present reality. His deadpan delivery of increasingly absurd situations gives the film its emotional anchor, never letting the camp elements completely overwhelm the human story. When Kemp jokes about being always at a disadvantage when I haven't got any clothes on, Olsen's timing makes even the corniest dialogue work. His portrayal of a space-age gunslinger feels authentic within the film's unique logic, proving that good actors can elevate any material. Catherine Schell, who would later achieve greater fame in Space, 1999, plays Clementine Taplin with a perfect balance of determination and vulnerability. Her quest to find her missing brother provides the film's emotional core, and Schell manages to make this standard damsel in distress role feel fresh and urgent. The chemistry between Schell and Olsen develops naturally throughout their lunar adventure, creating genuine romantic tension that transcends the film's more ridiculous elements. Warren Mitchell chews scenery delightfully as the villainous J.J. Hubbard, bringing theatrical menace to his role as the corrupt lunar industrialist. Mitchell understands exactly what kind of film he's in, delivering his lines with just enough conviction to maintain threat while embracing the inherent absurdity of being a space-age robber baron. His performance as the mastermind behind the Sapphire asteroid scheme provides the perfect antagonist for this cosmic western. Adrienne Corey stands out as Elizabeth Murphy, the lunar security chief who represents one of science fiction's early examples of competent female authority figures. Corey plays Murphy as tough and professional, commanding respect in a male-dominated environment without sacrificing femininity. Her romantic subplot with Kemp feels organic rather than forced, and her character's competence in crisis situations marks her as ahead of her time in genre filmmaking. The supporting cast, including Hammer regulars Michael Ripper and Bernard Breslaw, bring familiar faces to unfamiliar territory. Breslaw's performance as Hubbard's hulking enforcer provides physical menace, while the veteran character actors create a sense of community within the lunar settlements that grounds the more fantastical elements. The film's most memorable sequence, the zero-gravity saloon brawl, showcases the cast's commitment to the material's unique demands. The actors navigate the challenge of conveying a fight scene in slow motion while maintaining dramatic tension, creating one of cinema's most peculiar action sequences. Though the execution may seem quaint by modern standards, the performers' earnest approach to this impossible scenario demonstrates their professionalism. The lunar surface sequences, where Kemp and Clementine search for her brother while being pursued by Hubbard's men, allow the cast to work within convincing alien environments. The actors handle the cumbersome spacesuits and dialogue delivery under difficult conditions, maintaining character relationships and plot momentum despite the technical challenges. These performances reinforce the film's central themes about frontier justice and corporate greed, creating characters that feel authentic within their extraordinary circumstances. Moon. 02 received decidedly mixed reviews upon its initial release, with critics struggling to categorize this unusual hybrid of science fiction and Western genres. The Monthly Film Bulletin dismissed it as appealing only to less demanding juvenile audiences, noting that while the special effects were inevitably light years after anything in 2001, the film maintained a sufficiently familiar level of plot and dialogue. Contemporary reviewers seemed unable to decide whether the film was an intentional parody or a straightforward adventure, leading to confusion about its actual merits. The film's timing proved both fortunate and disastrous. Released just 3 months after Neil Armstrong's moon landing, Moon 02 arrived when public fascination with space exploration was at its peak. However, this proximity to real lunar achievement also highlighted the film's more fantastical elements, making its Wild West approach to space colonization seem quaint rather than visionary. As director Roy Ward Baker later reflected, it was undercut by the fact that you could turn on the television and see Neil Armstrong jumping about on the real moon. In the United States, The film was marketed as the first moon western, with taglines emphasizing its genre-blending approach. Variety wrote that the film never makes up its mind whether it is a spoof or a straightforward adventure yarn, and the uneasy combo comes adrift even in the normally capable hands of producer Michael Carreras. This critical uncertainty reflected broader industry confusion about how to approach space-themed entertainment in the post-2001 era. Director Roy Ward Baker was notably critical of his own work in later interviews. In a 1992 Starlog interview, Baker called it a bad picture that never got off the ground, lamenting that we didn't have enough money to do it properly. It was crazy, a complete muddle. Baker was particularly critical of what he saw as the miscasting of James Olsen, and felt that producer Michael Carreras had overstretched himself in multiple roles on the production. However, time has been considerably kinder to Moon 02 than its initial reception suggested. Modern viewers approach the film with different expectations, recognizing it as a fascinating time capsule of late 1960s British science fiction rather than a failed attempt at serious space opera. The film's psychedelic visual design, mod costumes, and swinging 60s aesthetic now read as delightfully retro rather than embarrassingly dated. The picture's cult status was cemented by its inclusion in Mystery Science Theater 3000's first season in 1990, where it was lovingly mocked by Joel and the Robots. This exposure introduced the film to new generations who appreciated its earnest camp value and distinctive visual style. The MST3K treatment highlighted both the film's absurdities and its genuine craftsmanship, particularly praising the special effects work while ribbing the more ridiculous plot elements. The movie's sets and props achieved an unexpected afterlife that speaks to their quality. The lunar surface models and spacecraft designs were so well crafted that they appeared in numerous subsequent productions. Jerry Anderson's UFO series extensively reused Moon 02 sets, while the designs influenced the look of space. 1999. Even decades later, elements from these 1969 productions appeared in Superman films and Duncan Jones' Moon, demonstrating the enduring appeal of practical effects over digital alternatives. International reception varied significantly from domestic response. European critics were more receptive to the film's experimental nature, viewing it as a legitimate attempt to expand science fiction cinema's boundaries. French critics particularly appreciated the film's visual style and production design, while German reviewers praised its attempt to blend familiar genres in novel ways. Moon 02's influence on science fiction cinema extends far beyond its modest commercial success, establishing visual and thematic templates that continue to resonate in contemporary filmmaking. The film's approach to space westerns directly influenced later productions like Outland, Firefly, and The Mandalorian, all of which embrace the concept of frontier justice in futuristic settings. Its willingness to blend genres without apology paved the way for more adventurous genre mixing in science fiction, proving that audiences would accept unusual combinations if executed with conviction. The film's production design legacy proves particularly enduring. Les Bowie's effects team created a visual language for lunar colonization that became the template for British science fiction throughout the 1970s. The clean, functional aesthetic of Moon City's interiors influenced the design of Space, 1999, Blake 7, and Doctor Who, while the lunar surface work established standards for depicting alien environments on television budgets. Modern productions like The Expanse and For All Mankind draw from this tradition of practical, lived-in space environments rather than pristine digital constructions. In our current era of commercial space exploration, Moon 02's themes of corporate control and resource exploitation feel remarkably prescient. The film's depiction of lunar colonization as a business venture dominated by powerful industrialists mirrors real-world developments in space commerce, from asteroid mining companies to private lunar missions. Hubbard's scheme to crash a Sapphire asteroid onto the moon for later recovery, seems less fantastical when companies like Planetary Resources and Deep Space Industries pursue similar resource extraction strategies. The movie's treatment of space as a new frontier requiring law enforcement and governance speaks directly to contemporary debates about space law and jurisdiction, questions about who owns extraterrestrial resources, how to regulate space mining, and what legal frameworks govern off-world activities echo the film's portrayal of lunar society as a Wild West requiring new forms of justice. The United Nations' ongoing discussions about space resource rights demonstrate that Moon, 02's central conflicts remain relevant. From a filmmaking perspective, the picture's commitment to practical effects offers valuable lessons for modern productions drowning in digital imagery. The tactile quality of Bowie's miniatures and sets creates an authenticity that many CGI-heavy films struggle to achieve. Recent successes like Mad Max, Fury Road, and Dunkirk demonstrate renewed appreciation for practical craftsmanship, while the special edition releases of Moon 02 highlight how well-executed miniature work ages compared to early digital effects. The film's camp aesthetic has found new appreciation in an era that celebrates retrofuturism and vintage design. The mod costumes, psychedelic color schemes, and swinging 60s sensibility that once seemed dated now appear charmingly nostalgic. This visual style influences contemporary productions seeking to evoke specific historical periods, while fashion designers regularly reference 1960s space-age aesthetics in modern collections. Moon 02's status as Hammer Films' only science fiction venture makes it a fascinating outlier in genre history. While the studio returned to horror after this experiment, the film demonstrates what might have been if British cinema had pursued science fiction with the same commitment shown to horror. The movie's failure to spawn sequels or imitators represents a road not taken in genre filmmaking, making it a unique artifact of unexplored possibilities. Most significantly, Moon 02 proves that ambitious failures often prove more interesting than safe successes. Its willingness to attempt something unprecedented, even imperfectly, resulted in a work that continues to fascinate viewers decades after more conventional productions have been forgotten. The film stands as a testament to the value of creative risk-taking, demonstrating that bold vision can overcome technical limitations and budget constraints. What do you think? Does Moon 02 deserve recognition as an underappreciated gem of British science fiction, or is its cult status simply nostalgia for a more innocent era of filmmaking? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this exploration of forgotten cinema treasures, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the films that shaped genre history.